I got to quit.
Fine.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. We're still having a little bit of technical difficulty. So we're going to try to make this work. And I hope it works. So please forgive. Hi, I'm Michelle Vidal. I'm the owner of Resonant Essentials. And I'm going to give you a little bit about myself. I serve spiritual seekers confused by information overload to gain clarity in their true purpose. And I do this through an integrative mentorship process of inform, integrate, and incorporate everything into your world so that you can gain clarity. I thank you for coming. I appreciate you standing by while we try to figure out this technology. When people say they're muggles in the spiritual world, I'm a muggle in technology. So thank you for that understanding. Today, I'm going to start with talking with you guys about the planes of being. And the planes of being talk about our first plane of existence, which is the material plane. It's the lowest vibrating. You've heard everybody say, oh, being on the earth is very difficult because it's so slow and sluggish, and everybody's ready to ascend to the fourth dimension. And I'm going to ask you to think about what I'm going to tell you next and about the understanding of what dimensions are and a few things. And these are really important to do. Hang on, I'm going to try to, Janet, I do not know how to cut her volume out, and it's throwing back a feedback on me. Janet? 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 Can you come knock your speaker off? Because it's picking it up and throwing it back at me. Okay. I need you to turn the volume off, not the computer. So, thank you. Very, very much better. So the material plane of existence is the earth. It's very dense, and even the most dense, whether it be steel or whether it be a rock or petrified wood or whatever it is, whatever is dense and thick and heavy, concrete is very porous, but to us it's very dense. What we have to understand is that it's a low vibration. In other words, if you were a mathematician, this would be such a small number of heaviness of whatever, if you went to chemistry, whatever the chemical compound makeup is, we're of the lowest plane here on Earth. The second plane of existence is the plane of forces. Now, what the plane of forces is, and I'm going to talk kind of graze over this really lightly. The plane of forces is the forces that be, the rules, the regulations, the understanding of the universal laws. That's the plane of forces, the action that makes us move and create and grow. And then we have the third plane of existence, which is the astral plane. That's where we're going to talk about how you get there, what's involved there, and how that works in our world. The fourth plane is the mental plane. It's up there. And if you can see on the data board, the fourth plane holds what we call the Akashic records and the sleep state. The sleep state, when we die, our energy goes through a birthing process to go back to being energy. So much like, 9 months in the womb and having to come through that birthing canal and having that massaging to stimulate the blood flow before the child comes out with oxygen and blood circulation and heart that's already been beating, but it has to adjust to bright lights. And it would really be a shock to our system, because here's this child that's been floating around in water and it knows no other reality when all of a sudden the water starts to go and it's going through this experience. The spirit understands it, but remember that this is a integration into the physical plane of existence. So all of a sudden you have this spirit who's been operating at a higher frequency having to come into a lower frequency. So much like that, that's why we call it the sleep state. You're being rebirthed into energy. Your consciousness or your super consciousness goes with it. And we're going to talk a little bit about the bodies, of how the bodies work and the layers of the body and the astral body. But for now, understand that the sleep state is where we go when we die. And the Akasha, now I'm probably going to offend a few people, but I'm going to try to explain this as politically correct as possible. The reason that they can't access your Akashic records, now let me qualify that. Someone who is a true clairvoyant, and I don't mean that somebody who sees in their mind's eye, but a true clairvoyant sees futuristic. They see roads that doesn't happen or hasn't happened yet, roads that used to be there. All of these things take into consideration. So it's a little different than what people usually tout. They think that seeing in their mind's eye is clairvoyance. I call that clairsentient because sight is one of our senses. Now, when I do readings, I get taste, I get pictures in my mind, I feel hot, cold, I feel pain, which is another way of saying I'm reaching you empathically. So when people say I can read your Akashic records, well, they can get parts, which is floating in your auric field, parts of your lives that are happening or have happened in the past or the future if we're looking at a linear time. Now, if you were to take my more advanced metaphysics classes, you would start to understand time as a different concept and how to work with that in the field that you're in now, so that you understand that you're creating your past, present, and future in your moment now. However, people can pick up past life stuff. They can even pick up why you're here, because that's already in your energy. But they can't read fully your Akashic records. Now, unless we have the Christ consciousness, and I don't mean Jesus Christ, I mean the awareness of the higher levels of consciousness, then we would also understand that there's a reason we don't have our access to our Akashic records. And one of the reasons is because of ego. What if you found that you were this incredible saint and you were just loved and adored by everyone, and this life you are homeless or you've done really bad things, and so you would feel that terror and guilt, so you would focus more on how good you were. So let's go back to also the other aspect of that is how bad you are. Some of us like to think we're saints, but we forget that if we truly believe in reincarnation, we have been black, brown, yellow, red, and white. We have been male and female. We have died old. We have died young. We have raped, marauded, stolen, committed adultery. We have done all these horrible things, and we've had them done to us, because this is a part of our creating our story to come into a more enlightened view of who we are. And astral projection we get to that astral world and we can kind of work with that and start seeing ourselves for our true self. So it's really kind of important when we go through and we try to create these worlds so that we understand them on a different level. Now, I know that if you guys all have questions, I want to respect that and honor that. I've got Tina in a Bluetooth in my other ear, so when it comes time to ask questions, if you'll put them in the feed, she'll give me the questions when we take a break with each section. Now, if we're talking the planes, oh, I'm sorry, I stopped at the mental plane, or what people call the fourth resurrection. I want to go to the next 3 planes. They're a lot higher, and we're not going to get there through astral projection. Just know that they're there and that they have a function, but that's not what we're dealing with today. I want you to understand the plane is thought of as oftentimes as a separate place. Now, there was, what is the name of that? It was a really good movie in which What the Bleep, where they showed the basketball, our eyes seeing things in time as a fluid movement, even though if you took it, it was frame by frame, if you could see that fast. Okay, so same thing. We understand that the densest matter has vibration. Oops, there I went. Okay, guys, we're working with this. The densest matter has a vibration, and everything is a vibration. So those vibrations, oops, there I go again. That's okay, I'm getting ready to switch to the other board. Everything has a vibration, and those vibrations look like a little bit about, hang on while I get this ready. So we'll say this is still, this is physical, this is emotional, okay? So we know that one is physical, mental, and emotional, okay? So let me get these lined up correctly. And the vibrations, even though they're side by side, start to look like this. And we blend, because we are one, we have them side by side with us. So I want you to understand vibration in the aspect that we are, we are struggling with our, oh my God, this computer is driving me crazy. I'm gonna have to switch. Tina, can you still hear me through all of this? Okay, I'm gonna see if I can do this. Oh, there it went again. Okay, I don't know how to do this. We're gonna do it this way. We'll just turn it in case it comes back and I can switch places. There, I went out one place and I'm back in another. Oh man, technology. Yes, I've got it on order. It's the ether cable jack extension so that I can hook to the internet and I won't be bumping out this way. So I truly apologize to all of you. I can only make the best of an interesting situation. I don't even think it's a bad one. It's funny. So understand that the planes of existence do not hold spatial distance, okay? They're just integrated, much like, you know, those little floaties they call dust mite poop that float in the air. Yeah, that. Think of it as that air in between that you see the floating. You don't see the air, but you know it's there. You breathe it, you experience it, you do all of it. So understand that at that point, that's what that entails and how that works. A plane is not a place, but the state of being. So that state of being is a state of awareness and consciousness. Now, you don't take up space, like there's not one space of a lot of people and how that works and what's working and how that's going. It's not like I'm here in the physical form and nobody can sit beside me or take up half of my body to sit in. Remember that they're at a different frequency, so there's no spatial difference, okay? Now, let's get down to what you came for, astral projection. There's reasons to astral project, and I want to be real clear with this. To do it consciously, there's a couple of reasons. Or a few reasons. One of them is that you need not experience the pains of death. There was a officer, he was a major, or I think he was a major in the military here at the Air Force Base. And that major trained pilots for Vietnam to astral project. And he did so by having them drink milk and eating cabbage and causing such severe gastro pain that they would go out of body, so they could learn to go out of body at will instead of by force. And that way, if they were captured, they were tortured, they wouldn't give up secrets because they could get out of the body and go somewhere else and divorce themselves from what was happening to the physical form. Now, they knew that once they got back in their body, they were going to have the pain, but they weren't going to give up the military secrets. And he wrote a book about this, and he was a friend of mine, and it was somewhere in the late 80s, early 90s that he wrote this book. I think you can probably Google him. I don't know his name. I don't remember, but you might be able to find it. So we can step out of the physical body before death and allow our body to die without us in it. And that takes away a lot of the pain, suffering. And I don't know if all of you have heard of the walled-in monks. They go in and they do nothing but meditate for 30, 40 years. Well, why don't they go bonkers? Well, they're walled into a cell. They have a little place to put their food in and out and their waste product in and out and get water in and out, but they don't leave the cell. And why don't they go nuts? Because they learned to astral project, and they can go, and it's been proven, they have been able to read headlines and go amongst people and see what's going on in civilization, so they don't feel that need to do it in the physical form because they've learned how to consciously astral project. Now, there's another really good idea. How about attend teachings you might not otherwise be able to get to? So let's say you want to go to a class, one of my classes, and you don't have the money to pay. Well, if you consciously astral projected, you could be hearing me in the class at no charge, and I wouldn't know you were there. Now, I don't want you to do that because that's just karmically wrong. We'll get into karma on another class another day, but just kidding. If you could do that, I would welcome you. I would welcome the feedback of how I did in class because you astral projected, just so you know. Let's say you can spy on your children. I used to be able to go directly to where my daughter was when she was ditching school. And I'm sure that wasn't something she counted on, but that's something I did. So it was well worth my effort. And prophecy can come from astral projection because we go to the astral world and we can get out of our time and see what's happening in the future, in the past. Now, has anybody written any questions in there, Tina? Well, that's the question was from Veronica, how can I access my own Akashic records? That's a different class, okay? We can talk about that, and that's through meditation. And it's through actually raising your level of consciousness instead of, I'm going to say this and it's not going to come out right. Instead of us just taking for granted things, we can ask our spirit guide to work with us and give us the reasons we're here, what lessons we have to learn, whatever. But to access your own Akashic records, you do it on Halloween. And if you have to have a very high state of consciousness to sit down and actually read through your Akashic record. And they don't let just anybody into that hall of memory because we often can't handle what it is. But you can ask questions and you can get the answers from your Akashic record, but you're not going to be able to read your own book. Any other questions? Okay, so now I'm going to switch over here and we're going to go to the astral bodies, and I'm going to hope that I can do this. Okay, go ahead. Yes, Ruby, you can be the fly on the wall. And believe me, there's so many times I remember, and I will give you this as a kind of anecdotal evidence. I don't anymore because I'm not with somebody like this anymore. I don't date gentlemen like this. But the first time it happened, it was with my son's father. And I would go to sleep, unconscious astral projection, and I would wake up knowing who he cheated with, where they went, what they did, and I would know, I could give him a complete description of the woman he was with. I just don't care anymore. Because if I know you're cheating, we're done anyway. So, yes, you can be the fly on the wall. The question is, do you want to? Okay, so I'm going to try to, I don't know how much of this monitor you guys can see. I'm kind of working with it in real time, but I'm going to use the same three colors. And I'm going to tell you that when we first incarnated, let me rephrase. When we left the Sea of Bliss is the God source. When we left God, or the God source, what people term as God, I have a hard time with God because it really kind of gives it a gender, and it's energy. It's a big pool of energy, much like this. When you look at this portion, if you can see right here, think of this as the Sea of Bliss. It's so bright, so light. When they said you cannot see the light of God, you cannot see God because it would be too overwhelming, that's exactly why. Because the bright, energetic light is so intense that this energy holds memory, thoughts, and the universal laws, which that energy will not break, okay? So as it comes away and you get away from it, the air or the vibration in between is different and slower and moves slower, so that you're coming down in here and it's less. So when we left the Sea of Bliss, we were what people would term the fallen angels. So our true self is this little, what we're going to term this little dot right here, okay? And that little dot is our vibration. It's the Quakers call it the light within. Some people call it the still voice within. Surrounding that is what we call your soul. Now, looking at this is very important for us to understand so that we can get a clearer picture of what we're doing. If you look at this, doesn't it look like an egg or a cell? The soul is your protection or your overcoat to start slowing the vibration down so that you don't damage yourself being your bright light out there, because it can be affected. So the soul is your link to the Akashic records. It holds is your link to the Akashic records. It holds everything of everything you do. And again, in the class on consciousness, we talk about what the superconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious minds all have in common. So think of the conscious mind as your mind here on Earth, this as the superconscious, and the spirit body, which is what we're going to next, as the spirit body as your subconscious. Okay, so within the body, and I'm no artist, so we're going to put it on a very big peg head, okay, is what we call the physical form of the etheric body. And the reason that it has a form is that it encompasses the soul and the true self. But what happens here is that what your past life was, that's your future life, you're going to be recognized by this physical form. So when people say the angels came, the angels didn't come. Spirit came from the etheric, and these angels are vibrations of friends and family that you don't have memory of, that are coming to talk to you. My experience with losing my son was very devastating because I had always felt him. But when he passed, he obviously had to go into the sleep state to be reborn. Some people move through that state a lot faster. So he moved through it pretty fast because he had a high level of spiritual awareness. But it's a way that he would come and represent himself to me as in his form, so that I would recognize him as who he was. So this is our etheric body. Now, it looks right now like your astral body. Your etheric body looks like your astral, which looks like your physical form. So the next piece of the puzzle is your astral body, okay? And it houses the ability, when we go to the astral, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this in a second, but when you go into the astral, you go in and you replenish your prana, your chi, your ki, your mana, however you want to phrase that. I call it prana, but it's all the same. You reestablish your spiritual food or your spiritual energy. Now your physical form takes everything else and you're in the physical form. So here's your physical form that houses your entire everything. I know friends of mine from Judson, my school that I went to, that would be going, Michelle, I could draw that out for you a lot better. Please feel free. Put it on a poster this size and send it to me. Anyway, your physical form holds to that level. So keeping that in mind, and we're going to switch back over here. We want you to understand that those are the 5 bodies. Now, is there any questions on that, Tina? Tina? Okay. There's a no on that. Okay. Now, the difference between conscious and subconscious astral projection is when you're consciously you're choosing to go out, like I'm awake right now, to go out of body. The first time that this happened to me, I was 15. And I was standing at a football game in Gallup, New Mexico. Yes, the town that the mayor asked to shut down, that's my hometown. That's where I grew up. I'm very proud of that town. I'm very proud of the people in that town. They've come light years into light and love and understanding. So I was standing at a football game at the concession stand, and all of a sudden I was talking to my friends, and I went bloop, and I was standing there looking at myself. I was up here looking at myself down there, and I had quit talking because I was shocked. I still maintained my Coke in my hand in the physical form. I didn't collapse. I didn't drop. I was just up here. And I get those feelings like when I'm meditating, I feel like I'm starting to come out, you know, I'm starting to go out. And so I know when I'm ready to, when I'm doing a unplanned conscious astral projection. Now I will qualify this by sometimes I can't get out of body no matter what I do, because things hold you back. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but understanding that conscious astral projection, you are awake. Unconscious astral projection is when you're sleeping. So there's a few things. We have Mary Beth St. Cyr, who is working with dream journals, okay, dream workshop. She does this on Wednesdays. It's $10. You get to Zoom in. She's amazing because she really helps you understand your dreams. She and I've talked about this, and she has the same understanding. Sometimes there's prophetic dreaming, and sometimes you're actually interacting. This dream you think you have, projection, unconscious, you're in the dream state, unconscious astral projection. And the other times when you're dreaming, you are all components. So let's say I was really ticked off at my dad because he grounded me when I was a kid. That happened a lot. I spent a lot of time in my room. And you know what? I have to say, I loved every minute of being stuck in that room. Nobody could yell. Just saying. I would get so angry that I would be yelling at my dad in my sleep. And I guess if you could really understand, he was me that I was yelling at, making my own excuses. So that's another way we create our world, is through our dream state, to see which way it is, that deja vu. You know, well, I've had this conversation. You've played both roles. That deja vu is you really had working that out. You're trying to work through things. So those are things that, you know, unconscious astral projection brings. And the conscious astral projection is probably a little bit more fuller experience. Is there any questions yet? Tina? Now I can. Is there any questions? Yes. Yes, because you're still working through those past events in your mind. Now that's what you're doing in the dream state. Okay? Astral projection in the unconscious form, if you're going to work, you're usually trying to work out something in the future if you're doing unconscious astral projection. But if you're working on things in the past, you can be trying to now if you're I'm going to qualify this because I think I understand where you're going with this, Ruby. If you're working on something from somebody who's passed away or is no longer connected to you, you can be working, if they've passed away, you can actually be trying to work through some situations that have you're still wounded and carrying that. The hurt and the pain of their passing, and you're reconnecting to them and replaying the, gosh, I'm really sorry that I ditched school. Oh, that was what I hoped my kids would tell me. But whatever it is that you thought is compelling you to go back into that situation. I've astral projected into my grandmother's house, which is no longer standing, but its vibration is there, okay? And it's hard to explain. And I've also time slipped. And time slipping, I have gone wide awake into the past that of what we would term a past life. Now, if you're dreaming about something that happened in the past, you still are trying to resolve that situation. So you have to figure out, am I in dream state or conscious, unconscious astral projection? So you want to try to take it there. Any other questions? No. The age old, you're spying on me. You have a choice to block anybody out of your life. If you haven't taken those steps to say, you know what, I'm done with you, it's over, I don't have any other lessons to learn from you, that's how you protect yourself. You enforce that white light and you hold yourself strong, okay? And before you go to sleep, I have a tendency to encourage people to say, I am surrounded by the white light of the Christ consciousness, pure white light of the Christ consciousness. Only good can come to me and only good shall go from me. That raises your vibration. That sets that protection up for you. If somebody is trying to get at you, they can come to you in dreams. It's your choice whether you want to deal with them. You can, but again, if you're doing this through the dream state, they can't, if that's you meeting you, the ugly that you see in them is the ugly that you're trying to resolve in you. Now, if they're coming at you, if you're conscious and you're afraid they're coming into your room, they have to have a lot of gifts in order, they have to have the gift of astral projection. They have to actually know. Otherwise, they're just psychically negating you. So they can't exactly see you unless they can consciously astral project. So they can't see who you're with. They can psychically pick that up. And again, I've given you the things to do and say that will stop that in a nutshell. Because quite honestly, it's really hard to even contemplate sometimes. You feel very vulnerable. My father was one hell of a psychic, but he was also very negative, and he would focus on you so intensely that crap could happen. I was in a situation that he did not approve of, and although it was perfect for me, it was an absolute wonderful experience for me. He did not like losing that control of me. My son, ironically, his foot was broken. And then when we met to try to resolve the situation between he and I, he didn't want to deal with me. My son chipped his groin attachment. And this was all within a period of time. And then there was the lawyer. We're trying to get a deposition, and my attorney was negated. I mean, people can send that, but you have to be wise and protect yourself. Any other questions? Sometimes. Yes, Ruby, deja vu can sometimes give you physical discomfort because there's a hook in there. There's a trigger in there for you to work through. So you've obviously, with deja vu, been working through something in the astral at night in your dream state, and it's a trigger. So you have to look at what's happening at face value and say, okay, that's my gut instinct telling me I've been here. Now what do I need? What did I learn from that? What do I need to learn from this? And what's the situation telling me? And why was it important enough for me to be having that experience in the astral? And why am I so that when it came here, I'm going, oh, I've been here, I've done that. Just remember that outside the physical body, there is no time. There's no time. So you could actually, that's where the astral projection for prophecy comes in, because you can actually, once you're out of the physical form, we don't care if we go to lunch. We're in the astral body. So it's, time is to make sure you go to work on time, to make sure you eat dinner, but everything is happening now. That's the paradigm. That's the alternative universes. That's whatever you want to call it. It's really just one life, one moment now. And again, those are in the more advanced classes in metaphysics. But yes, there's a hook. You have to kind of try to get it. Okay, any more? Okay, well, let me go through the, Oriana, I got your question about how to use astral projection for higher consciousness. And I'm going to give you the facts about conscious astral projection so that you of the astral body and everything that's coming through, so that you can kind of see how this works. Okay, go ahead. Another question. Okay, yes, I answered the question. What do you do to stop interference from people snooping on you? Always. Every night, every morning. Okay? I am surrounded by the pure white light of the Christ consciousness. Only good can come to me, and only good shall go from me. And the snooping, you know, if somebody wants to see you, they can psychically tie in. Very few people can actually do conscious astral projection. It takes a lot of training. So it's not even something I'd really worry about, because the person who is trying to consciously astral project into your world would to have that ability, they should hold a higher level of standards so that it wouldn't be about snooping. The other thing is if you think that they are, you need to sit down and have a conversation with them. Okay. Okay, Veronica, yes, if you actually felt they were physically there, there's two ways, the only two ways they can get there is conscious astral projection and psychic voyeurism. Psychic voyeurism. People can go in psychically, so you need to try to work with what that means, and we can talk about that more in depth in your particular case. To see exactly what you see and feel, because it's kind of hard to do through the chat. But those are the two ways they can do it. And again, always protect yourself. If you raise your consciousness, if you raise your vibration, people can't mess with you. I hear all the time how people have demons that are attacking them. I have been doing this work for over 40 years. I have never had a demon show up on my doorstep. Why? Because that's not my reality. That's not my vibration. I refuse to hold fear in my heart when I do this work. And holding fear of that person, place, or thing can make it manifest. So all you have to do is will that person away. If somebody comes in, if you think they're spying, just go, just leave. My mother, my son's father, and my cousin, all three of them were alcoholics. And they died, boom, boom, boom. My mom in July, my son's father in January, and my cousin in February. And all three of them heavy drinkers. And I started craving alcohol, and I'm not a drinker. I don't drink. And all of a sudden, to get to work, I was doing a shot of tequila, and I thought, this is nuts. And it dawned on me, all of a sudden, I got hit with, they're experiencing the high. And I went home, I cleared the energy in my house, and I said, get the hell out. You don't get the, make me crave alcohol so you can have this experience. Hold on a second, folks. I'm hoping, okay, somebody called in, and I'm using Janet's tablet because my video goes out. So sorry. So with that being said, it is that moment where we go through and we have that. Again, you have the choice of control. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Worry about protecting yourself so that they can't do it. Okay? Now, we're going to go on to facts about the astral body. Okay? Cosmic energy is known by many names. I just talked with you about it. Prana, mana, which is the Hawaiian, chi, which is Chinese, ki, which is Japanese. They're just some of them. I use prana, and I like it because it's just consistent. It's what I was trained and thought of. We go out, if you have somebody who actually has their third eye open, they could go out to the neighborhood and they could look out throughout the houses, and they would see all the bodies floating above the house, because you actually leave your body to gather up that prana. So it's a real good method, a real good way that we get our spiritual food, our regeneration, spiritual energy. And you understand that when we do unconscious astral projection, we receive the benefit of this energy. Whereas if we're doing conscious astral projection, it uses that energy. So the unconscious gathers it and the conscious expends it. Now the astral body, as we showed on the nice little drawing that I did, is smaller, okay? It's lighter than air. It rises and falls subject to the laws of gravity, okay? And your consciousness, your thought, because you can direct yourself down by thoughts, you move it through your thoughts. An unknown force holds the molecular bodies together. I don't know what that is. It weighs from 2 to 2.5 ounces, okay? And it has clothing created by thought. How many of you, with your spiritual hands up in the air, ever had a naked dream? I bet you're all of us have. And you're like, oh my God. It's because we forgot to put on our spiritual clothes. I had an issue when I was younger. I slept in weird pajamas, and they would come off at night when I slept. It was like they were too big, and somehow I slid out of them. And I was having my dreams at night as I was naked, because I went out of body and didn't have any clothes on. So I didn't have spiritual clothes on. If this happens to you again, and it usually happens to kids, they're much more engaged in the naked dreaming. But if you have a naked dream, just go, oh, I'm wearing this outfit, and it will put it on. You just do away with it. The other aspect of that is that the astral world itself is governed by thought. Okay? The silver cord is at the base of the skull. The reason that we have 3 days that it takes to bury somebody is that silver cord is not broken. It takes 3 days, 72 hours for it to thin out and break once you pass away. Okay? Now, the hard thing about that, knowing that, is that if you died by a fire, that cord is severed immediately, just boom, because it burns it up. So does cremation, okay? However, the silver cord holds the astral body, which also holds the spirit, the soul, and the true us together. So it is held by that silver cord to the physical body. Doesn't happen often, but there's always these little freak accidents that sometimes that cord can be severed. Sometimes you see somebody who's passed away and it's a real freak accident, they die, and there is no real known cause because they can't find a virus. Well, they find virus and bacteria and they blame it on that, but there's really, their cord got severed. So that they're young and healthy and there's no reason for them to have died, but they did. Sometimes, yes, they died because their heart was bad or, you know, they had an internal bleed, whatever it is. Sometimes, whatever it is, they'll die. But once in a blue moon, that cord gets severed. Now, here's where I'm going to address the walk-in scenario. My mother read this book about walk-ins and she gave it to me. She goes, "You're a walk-in." I'm like, "Mom, you can't be a walk-in. You can have a shift." My mom did astrology, a shift in consciousness according to what your planetary experience was. There's all kinds of reasons that you can change overnight. But there was this concept of having walk-ins in which they changed out the silver cord. Well, once that silver cord is cut from one, the body dies. Now, that's my belief. I would say that if there's a walk-in out there that actually knows they're a walk-in, I don't happen to be one. I would love to hear your experience, truly, because it's not something that I'm inclined to buy into. I do believe that we have spiritual awakenings and unfoldments that we have predestined to happen on our path. And it can be through a near-death experience, a pain cycle like birthing of a child, a severe car accident that causes us to shift our focus. Yeah, I think that happens. But to exchange bodies, that's a tough one for me. The silver cord, like I said, is fastened at the medulla oblongata. Well, let me get some water. It is the size of a silver dollar, okay? And when you leave your body, it stretches to the size of a thread and no less than that. And it stretches to that size of a thread at about 10 to 15 feet, okay? And it can go for 1,000,000 miles and it's still the size of a thread, okay? So it is a component that is more advanced than what we know. It's whitish gray in color, which is why we call it a silver. And the calmer you are, the easier it is for you to astral project. Anxiety or fear makes it harder to release the astral body, which is why it's kind of hard for me to sit down and consciously astral project, because I'm like, what if somebody walks in the room? What if somebody, you know, my body is left vulnerable and I'm out in the astral trying to gather information, and somebody knocks on the door. I don't want to be slammed back in my body. Well, it doesn't really happen, but you know, I'm human. So, you know, I have to do away with the fears and the calming. Now, a force of vibration works the cord much like a cable, and the force governs itself according to the balance of the positive and negative factors, okay? So remember that everything is a positive or negative charge. It's this or it's right, it's left, it's up or down. It's the duality, okay? So the positive and negative factors, the energy will be governed by that. A loud noise such as the backfiring in a car will cause the cable to vibrate. And if the astral body is not projected far enough away from the physical form, you'll slam back in your body. The other aspect of that is that there is I don't know if you ever woke up and you're like, oh, I got a kink in my neck. Well, it makes getting in and out of the body, it's hard. You may have gotten in the body incorrectly. So what you want to do is you want to go to sleep, let your body settle down, and you want to hold that energy, okay? And then wake up, give it 3 or 4 minutes, you know, go back for a quick second sleep. set your alarm on snooze and just go back to sleep to get back in the body correctly, and you'll do away with the kink in your neck or your back. What is felt in the physical body is felt in the astral body and vice versa. So unless you're far enough away from the physical form, if somebody stuck a needle in you here, your astral body would feel it. And if somebody stuck a needle in your astral body, you might have a mark on your leg, okay, where somebody stuck in there. You cannot become lost in the astral because you're connected to your body. All you have to do is think of yourself in bed, sleeping at home, and boom. So you know where you live, you know your neighborhood. All you have to do is visualize it, and you're back in your body. If you're tempted to stay in the astral, if you're having a real pleasant experience, it's not allowed. You incarnated, you're kind of stuck. Again, we're going to qualify that SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. Something generally has changed. The child has, from birth, from conception, okay, to 2 years to take ownership of the body. Now, they can choose to leave anytime they want. And you can choose to terminate, because sometimes it's put into the child will put it into the head, I don't want this. This is not good for me. So you can go ahead and help terminate this, and this helps pay and bring balance into karma for the mother and the child. So I'm an advocate of choice, because I firmly believe that we all have choices, and it's called free will. And the child, if the child can choose to leave, why can't the mother choose not to have it? I mean, it's got to be a mutually symbiotic relationship. So that can happen too. So if you are tempted to stay out in the astral, your spirit guide and teachers will help push you back into the physical form, and then they will sit there and hold your butt in there. I had a dream. I was done. I'd lost Lance. I was devastated. I couldn't breathe. My life force was depleting quickly. My relationship was already questionable at best. I didn't know where I was going to go from there, and I just didn't want to get back to my body. And my son was like, "Get back there! Get back there! You have to go back. Cheyenne needs you." And it's like he was one of the proponents that pushed me back into the body, and I was like, yes, I'm here, and this is why, so that I can work with those spiritual seekers who are looking for clarity in their world. In a world full of overloaded statements of information and misinformation. So that's why he shoved me back in the body. I guess he trusts me. Spirits do help us in the astral, but they're not allowed to help us astral project, okay? We have to do that for us. And remember, our help really comes from our superconscious mind, which is the God self, okay? Now, I'm going to go back to the resurrection of the fourth, the sleep state in the Akasha. If you've ever had dreams in which you were chased down, it's because you were trying to get into one of those two areas, and you're not allowed. You're not allowed. Your vibration is such that you are not allowed to go into the Akashic records, and you're not allowed to go into the sleep state. And there are reasons for that. Because your vibration is not set for that, and it can cause you serious damage. Is there any questions so far, Tina? Well, the walk-in, the theory, because I'm going to say theory because I don't always agree with the walk-in, and as I said, the theory is that you go through such a horrendous, painful experience like birthing your child or car accident or a severe injury or some kind of near-death experience, and your spirit chooses to leave and disconnect from the physical body, and another spirit comes in to take over the physical body. With that being said, once that the silver cord is severed, the body dies. It's not got anything to animate it. Do I think that a nanosecond, it could be done in a nanosecond? Sure. But I've never met a walk-in, so I've never really had that experience validated. I've read a book on it, but that's a lot of books until I know for a fact, or my spirit guide and teachers give me that indication, something I have a hard time with, because my teachings is the minute that cord is severed, the body dies, and you can't reanimate the body. Any other questions? That's where your spirit team, is it Olivia or Oriana? Oh, Ruby. Okay, Ruby. What happens when you fight it? Your spirit team comes in and goes and pushes you in. They don't let us stay out of body. They just don't. It's not what we predestined. And your spirit team have agreed to work with you so that you can bring your state of consciousness. What we're here to do is attain a level of consciousness that we had achieved in other lives and rise above it. So we're here working to raise our levels of awareness and consciousness. And the whole point of that experience is to create and become co-creators, because I am a creator of my story. You can be a creator. Oh, lost our signs. Hold on a second, folks. I'll be right back. Thanks. Oh, thanks. Hi. I'll be out later. Sorry, guys. I just sold a friend's massage table. Okay, so where was I, Tina? Okay, so I don't know where. Oh, okay. Okay, so we're talking about our spirit team. Now, they chose to come in and they chose to help you and bring you to this. So they know what's on your destiny. We don't always know what we've predestined to attain. So we have come in to achieve a level of consciousness and then rise above it. And that's part of why, that's the whole purpose of us creating a life in which we call forth other people to help us, either in a positive way and sometimes in a negative way, own our truths and develop those truths for ourselves. No matter how it looks, we're nothing but light with consciousness. Any other questions? Okay, so now understanding that this is the things that we need to know before trying conscious astral projection, okay? Always, 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 always mentally see yourself with a pure white light around you, okay? You can say it, you can feel it, you can see it. Just make sure that white light is completely encapsulating your bubble. Remember that the God self, the higher levels of truth, always dwells within us. There is no download from some other force that be. It's an upload from our higher consciousness, our super consciousness. And if less we depend on it, we'll never achieve those goals. So always know that it's there and depend on those truths. The astral body comes out of the physical body, okay? And it takes with it the etheric body, the soul, and the true self, okay? So we want to make sure that those are things. When you wait, so what I want you guys to do, here's some techniques. I hope you got your pen and paper. When you want to try a conscious astral projection, okay, make sure that your bladder is empty. You don't want any pressure. You don't want that urge to go, to strike, to pull you back in. Make sure that you've eaten, not a lot, not heavy. You don't want a big steak, baked potato, and lobster to try to weigh on your stomach, because that's going to lead to an uncomfortableness. You're probably just going to fall asleep too much. Not enough gives you hunger pains. You're too antsy. You need more. Make sure that you drink adequate water so you're hydrated, but you're not having to, like I said, go to the bathroom. The temperature in the room should be comfortable, not too hot, not too cold, just where you feel like you're just relaxed and happy. There's two ways you can do this. You can sit in a chair comfortably with the back support, or you can lay down. If you're sitting in a chair, okay, I want you to see yourself out there, okay? So you can look and continue looking to see yourself looking back at yourself in the chair. So the whole idea is to be able to turn and look. Now you can put a mirror there to help you attain that, because that would give you that focal point. So you can sit in front of a full-length mirror and see yourself looking back at you, okay? Now, if you're doing conscious astral projection from a laying level, you want to think of your body as floating up and flipping over, looking at you. So you want to be able to do this. Now, remember all those near-death experiences, the people who've had NDEs, they always talk about being up at the ceiling. That's the same thing that happened to me. I was up here looking at myself at the concession stand, up here looking down to see what was happening to my body. So you can visualize that, and you will, it takes practice. This is not going to be done overnight. You get up here and you look down, okay? You want to be able to see it to believe it, okay? When have you ever felt like you were dead asleep, like, holy cow, I was completely out? That's what your physical body is going to look like, just like you're just dead asleep, just completely knocked out. So don't be surprised if that's how you look, because remember, you're going to be looking at you. So you're going to see yourself. And here's the other aspect is, have a vision of yourself and what you're wearing as you're projecting yourself out there. And just understand that you don't have anything animating your body. Your spiritual consciousnesses are out. So the body is going to look like it's just completely dead asleep. I would not suggest doing the cabbage and milk thing, because I personally don't like gas pain. Oh my God, why would you do that? But if that's how it works for you and you feel like you can do it, that's what people do. Pain will send you out of body, out of consciousness. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to I'm going to give you some more tips on that. I want that to kind of just sit in. Is there any questions on that portion yet? Okay, now in dream control, the astral and the dream coincide. They do the same thing at the same time. So when this happens, you're not staying asleep, okay? So you will have those experiences of waking up and like I was telling you, the dream control astral, the unconscious dream control state astral projection, I could tell Joseph where he was, what he was doing, and when he was doing it. I had a past relationship that sat in front of the computer the entire relationship. I might as well never been in the room for all the attention I was paid. And I remember dreaming that I was over his shoulder looking to see what was so fascinating on the computer that we never talked. You know, once we got used to the relationship, we never talked. And I was like horrified as to what he was doing on the computer because I saw no value to it. He did, I didn't. So it really, you know, but it satisfied my mind. I've had dream astral projection where I have gone to, I tried to get into the sleep state after my son died. And they were so gentle with me. They usually scare the hell out of you. They run you out of there. So that dream of running, and never getting anywhere because you can't move fast enough because they're on your tail. Yeah. Except they didn't do that to me. I checked in. I'm giving you my experiences so that if you have anything that relates kind of to this. I went into the hotel and said, what floor is my son on? I need to get to him. And they said, well, you can't see him. And I said, yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. So then I knew he was on the 4th floor. So I go to the elevator and they said, oh no, he's not on the 4th floor. We'll take you to where he's at. And they took me to the 13th floor, opened the door, okay? And I was out on top of the roof where a big tsunami came and sucked me away and couldn't find the building again. So they took care of me trying to see my son in the sleep state. You're not allowed to interrupt people who are rebirthing into spirit. As we sleep, our vibration becomes higher, and a good way to do sleep, to do the dream control, because you don't stay asleep in that, you have an awake experience. A good way is to go to sleep thinking and then dreaming of going into an elevator. So you want to think you're going to that elevator to the top floor and then back down and go up and go down. And the reason that is so that you go up out of body, okay? And eventually, after a time, when you reach the top floor, you will dream of getting out and walking around, okay? And then you will start having you can be the fly on the wall in your dream state. Another way of doing it is flying in an airplane or swimming. You can swim out. To do astral projection by dream control, you want to stay awake and think of the things you'd like to do. Then later, the subconscious will take over the mind, what you impressed with it, and you will astral project. So if you want to go have an experience in Paris and climb the Eiffel Tower, you can do that with dream control. Remember that you don't fall asleep, you rise asleep. Another method is to float out of your, we're going back to the chair, out of your chair, float out through the back of your head and come over the top to look at yourself. Place a mental picture of yourself where your third eye is to do this, okay? And you, like I said, you can use a mirror, facing the mirror, to see yourself coming up out of your body and then take the place of the mirror, okay? To be able to dream true, you must be conscious of going to sleep. So I call it the in-between world. That's where I hear music, I hear conversations. It's like, who's in the house? I used to, because I would go to sleep incrementally, and once I heard the music, I was like, okay, I could go with this. And I knew I was in the in-between world. Some people jerk awake from that because they're starting to go out of body in the in-between world. If you, in a dream of astral travel, if you desire a drink of water, you can turn on the tap. If you're astral projecting, you can, in the dream state, you can turn on the tap water and get one. But when you're in the conscious astral projection, you cannot turn the tap water or pick up anything that is material because you're not in the astral world, you're in the physical world. Okay, so I want to try to have an experience with you. Is there any questions? I want you guys to get prepared. In case you have questions, I'll be answering the questions. I want you to try to dim the room that you're in. Okay, and then I'm gonna try to talk you through what it feels like. Okay, we have questions, so get yourself comfortable and ready. Make sure you're not thirsty. Get yourself a little bite to eat to kind of settle your stomach. Dim the lights and get in a comfortable position. Go ahead, what are the questions? Well, remember, it's the astral world, okay? So the critters that will eat you, you're going to be able to get away from them. You know, you're instantaneously, the astral world is governed by thought. So if you're thinking you're in the ocean in the astral and there's jaws coming at you, you just go, ah, he's gone. And guess what? Jaws is gone. It's governed by thought. If you feel you're in danger, you will feel that danger. But you can remove yourself by going, I want to go to see my spirit guide. Okay. I remember one time being sick, and I needed healing on a mental, emotional, and physical level. So I was allowed in to my guide's home where his mother, my grandmother, was. He's Native American. And I went into their home and I laid my head in her lap, and she brought me healing, and she told me I was welcome anytime because I was of the clan. And I know that I chose Raven as my guide because of that life connection. That we'd had many lives together prior to this, and I chose him as my guide in this life to be with me 24/7 because he's gone through so many lives with me that he knew me instantaneously. So we can have those experiences governed by thought. So there's nothing to be afraid of because with a thought, you're gone. Any other questions? Okay, do they intercept it? Is that what I'm hearing you say? Yes. Oriana, yes. Astral projection absolutely happens. You hear people talk about it in work all the time, especially during massage. As a massage therapist, I noticed that people would go out of body when I was working on them because I had a clinical psychiatrist and a psychologist who would refer their people who had mental health issues, PTSD, bipolar, schizophrenia, DID, because of trauma, they're mentally had broken. So when I would work on them, if they had been raped or they had been attacked in their sleep by a spouse or whatever may have happened, they were in warfare where they had the heightened sense. I mean, warfare is like the absolute worst thing that humanity could do, because what we're doing to each other is so horrendous. We're asking people to stay in a heightened state of fear in order to serve us and go beat up another country who their people are also doing it. Why don't we just have the leaders of the countries beat each other up? Why are they sending men and women? Because it does happen. So yes, the out-of-body experience, you will exit stage right during a rape, during a severe accident. You will do it through warfare. It's that trauma. It's getting out of body. Then you'll hear them say, "I go out of body. I go out of body." Any other questions? No, a spirit cannot take over your body. We obsessed the animals. We pushed out their spirit, but your body is protected, okay? So alcohol, especially with alcoholics, if they have a blackout, a low entity can take over that body, okay? But nobody can inhabit your body without your acquiescing and leaving it. When you're astral projecting, you're not giving somebody the right to come into your body, okay? So that's not going to happen. You're completely safe. You have your spirit team that protects you. You have those situations that make it so, you know, you're protected. However, alcoholic blackouts, they've left their body, and if they don't remember, it's because spirit has sometimes taken over their body. Now, it's a true blackout that I'm talking about. My mother used to say, "Well, I don't remember doing that." And she knew damn good and well she did it. She told me years later after she got sober, she goes, "Oh, I knew what I did." So the point is that yes, an alcoholic blackout, you can leave the body and an entity can take over. My mother tells the story of a guy who was on a 7-year blackout. He left his wife and kids, vanished for 7 years. When he came to, he was married to another woman and had started another family and didn't recognize her at all, at all. So some weird, freaky things, but they're real freak accidents. And it's not anything, once you start working in this world and raising your level of consciousness, it's not going to happen to you, because alcohol lowers your resistance and your vibration. So I'm not a proponent of people who drink incessantly. Having a drink here and there is fine, but having, 5, 6 drinks a night, not so much, because your vibration is slow and sluggish. And if you're dealing with somebody who has an alcohol issue, that changes the family dynamics of the vibration of the house also, because everybody starts living in fear, and fear lowers the vibration. It's not worth it. If anybody's living in fear, get away from that. Any other questions? No, Ruby, your silver thread, your silver cord does not cause pain. There is no pain. What can cause pain is trying to get out of the body incorrectly or getting back in the body incorrectly. That you can have a sensory issue. What you want to do is just take a few deep breaths and relax. It means your body's too tense as you're trying to get out. You're just holding. So there's no pain with the silver cord. If it hears a sound or the body feels, it'll send that vibration to bring you back to the body if you're not far enough away. But no, the silver cord, no pain. If you're having pain, it's because you're too tight and you're trying to hold too much control. Anything else before we? Okay, so I'm going to talk you through a little bit about how this works, and then we're going to talk a little bit about diet and exercise. So I want you to just relax. I want you to take deep, even breathing. I'm not asking you to hold it. It just looks like this. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Relaxing each time you breathe in, 2, 3, 4. And exhaling, 2, 3, 4. Now slow that breathing down and feel how relaxed your body is. Relax it from, you can either start with the head or start from your feet, and just feel the tension leaving your body. Make sure that with those breaths that you shake off the tension in your face and in your shoulders. If you have to, move a little to get situated in the chair and drop down and relax. Relax your hips so that you feel totally in neutral. There should be no weight on your low back. There should be no weight on your knees, no pressure on your arms. You should just be open and flowing. Okay? And I want you to imagine your body vibrating. I want you to see the lines of your skin just tingling, and the skin thinning as your body comes up out of the back, and it comes up, it releases. Your whole body is so relaxed that the lines are fading. Your physical lines are fading. You might hear some humming going on. You might hear some music happening. You might feel more relaxed than you've ever felt before. And I want you to feel that tingling and letting your body come up over the top of you. Or if you're laying down, I want you to rise from your bed, and I want you to look at yourself. I want you to just let yourself go. Feel what that feels like. Remember that you are protected by your guide who's with you 24/7, 365 days a year. Their vibration never leaves yours. Know that you're safe, and they won't let anything happen to you as you do this. Know that you can ask your spirit team for someone to stay with your body if you're worried that something might overcome your body. And see yourself going to a place that's familiar. Try going to your kitchen and just walking down the hallway to your kitchen, seeing what you need to do. Now I want you to start coming back to your body, because the whole exercise is about getting that feeling going so that you kind of know what to think about. I don't want you overthinking this process. I don't want to add more words so that you come back in. So go ahead and let's ask Tina, is there any more questions? Yeah, now I can. Say it again. Okay. So now that gives you kind of an indication about what to expect. You want to slow your world down. You want to slow your body down. I did it in like the space of a few minutes because we're not trying to do a conscious astral projection right now, but I wanted you to know kind of some tools to use to do that. Now we're going to talk about my favorite subject, especially during this shutdown, diet, which means no Cheetos. Why? Serves no nutritional value. Why is it important that we try to eat healthy? You know, if you were eating nothing but processed food, your brain gets fatty. Your liver gets fatty. It can't purify your blood, so your physical body holds a lower vibration. And you don't want to do that. You want to raise it. You want to eat clean. Yes, go have some green chili enchiladas. I'm hungry, can you tell? Go have tacos. You can even have a Big Mac. But the time before you when you're trying to do this kind of work, the day before and the day of, you really want to maintain a decent diet, okay? Food builds in the body, so it builds the body, the physical form, so the cosmic force operates on it. So you want to have as healthy a body as you can so that you can attract more prana, chi, ki, mana, whatever. You want to make sure that you can attract it when you're out there in unconscious astral projection, okay? We attract the cosmic energy to our astral body. So we want our physical body to resonate as much frequency, high frequency as we can possibly get. A vegetable diet tends to loosen the vibrant manner of the astral body, but you still need protein, okay? And diet is very, very important. Food does not produce the energy itself, but it sustains the vibration of the physical form so that you can work a little better with it. If you're hungover, you're not cleaning house, and you're not going to astral project. Foods like carrots and fruits like prunes enrich the blood, so it's better able to attract spiritual powers to you. So eat carrots. They're crunchy and better than Lay's potato chips, although I love me some Lay's and green chili dip, just saying. The astral body needs protein, so beans and lentils can work there, chicken, fish, and yes, some of us need red meat. My blood type is O negative. You take away my red meat, I will bite your kneecap. I have to have it during the week. I've tried going to a vegetarian and then a vegan diet, and I am too much fire and water in my vibration for me to maintain that, and I became too airy and ungrounded. Fasting can help liberate the astral body along with a good mental attitude, so you can astral project if you don't eat real heavy and or you don't eat at all, but you can't be starving, okay? If you must eat lightly before doing that or doing a psychic reading. Heavy meals cause your body to be focused on digestion instead of concentrating on messages of giving, receiving, and experiencing. The astral condenses the cosmic force, okay? So if you're working in the healing realm, you want to make sure that your body is as clean a vessel as you can possibly get it. So, you know, eating fast food is fine occasionally, but if you subsist off of eating in restaurants and eating junk food, not really good for the healing forces. The condensed energy is stored in the solar plexus, which is why we have such a problem with our adrenals, with our third chakra. That's where fear is created because you're not getting enough condensed energy in your solar plexus, in your third chakra, in order to withstand those fears of political, one side overtaking the other. Personally, I kind of walked away from, I still have my feelings, and most of you know what they are, but I think, you know what, that's their story. I don't want to live like that, so I'm not going to engage that because it really hurts my spiritual self. And quite honestly, I've gone through enough. I want my spiritual self to be as on target. Fear uses up that stored energy, and that's where you can go into adrenal fatigue. It's real. Well, you can get diabetes. It's really not a good thing. Fears will anchor you in your body by not letting the astral body out. Food is the secondary source of creating energy, so you want to get that creative prana going and that chi. Avoid dead foods if possible. When I first got celiac and I realized what it was, the only thing I could eat was the outside parameters of the grocery store. And when I started doing that, my whole world opened up. I wasn't eating macaroni and cheese that had been sitting on the shelves because I was too dang lazy to make my own. And now I make my own. If I want it, I have it. But I do it not from a box. The foods we purchase in the stores have become more artificial due to the mass production. And so even though it says use by and it says 6 months, that box could have been sitting on the shelf 2 years in the manufacturing. So yeah, think about what you're putting in there. For self-purification and improved health, stay away from white, blend, or bleached flour, white refined sugar, excessive salt, white rice, white pasta, potatoes, vinegar. And I'm not sure that I totally agree with this on vinegar, and I'll tell you why. I love vinegar. I clean with vinegar. I eat vinegar. But I have noticed that the more pure that my body is, the more I eat vinegar. Like if it's not with oil on a salad, or sometimes I'll throw it on spinach, which I love. My stomach starts to turn now. So watch that. Heavy spices, heavy spices to make your food taste great is wonderful. But you can do a blend of spices, which will bring out the flavor of the food without over spicing. Oleo or margarine is really rough. It's about 1 molecule away from plastic. Alcohol drinks on a regular basis, or any beverages to excess. Teas, sodas, coffee, pork, pasteurized milk, and chemicalized food that add no life to the body. People ask me why I include pork in there. Pork is as close to eating human flesh as you can possibly get. It's much better processed now than it was back in the day. It used to be, and I remember doing this experiment when I was younger. You could cut a roast, pour Coke in it, and you could see these things come out of the meat. So you really have to cook your pork well, because the bacteria, the worms, the little icky things, yeah, it can come out of pork. You want to cook it almost to the point of boiling it. If you don't, or if you're not, because they eat poop. They eat poop. And their fat tissue is striated within their muscles like ours. Yeah, there's a story about Edgar Cayce. I'll just give you this little anecdote before we go on. But in a book, Edgar Cayce said that, back in Atlantis, they started crossing over the DNAs and science. And this is why a lot of people have a problem with stem cell research and the DNA research, because they knew what happened. They subconsciously or superconsciously remember what happened in Atlantis. And we're as close to the level of knowledge in healing and in science as we're as close as closer than we've ever been in any other civilization to Atlantis. And so with that being said, a lot of people remember having had that life, and they're against it because they know it led us to that war between science and healers, what we call the crystal packing mama realm, my happy zone. But I also deal with science too, so we should have a happy blend. Okay, now in comparing goat's milk to cow's milk, goat's milk is better. It also vibrates at a much higher rate, but you can also use nut milk if you're not allergic to nuts. All foods consumed should be alive and vibrating to the very best of your ability to get it. In keeping physically fit and healthy, one does not have to worry about becoming ill physically, mentally, or emotionally unless it's to pay off some karma. So you don't want to push the envelope to create bad stuff by, I want to eat ice cream. I do, but I do not want diabetes to be a part of my reality. So, you know, watch your blood sugars. People, if you smoke cigarettes, you want to use vitamin C in your bodies, because smoking cigarettes will cause the loss. For every pack of cigarettes smoked, you lose 3,000 units of vitamin C. So you smoke a pack of cigarettes, take a vitamin C tablet every day. You know, you want to replace it in the body or you'll suffer the consequences, which is not always good, you know, lack of vitamin C. Eat your green vegetables. They're great for fiber. They're great for everything. Eyesight, everything. You can look at, they're high in vitamin C and A and or E or calcium. So some anti-aging junk foods are dried fruits and get this, Big Newton. Those are okay to eat unless you have celiac, because then it's made from flour, and that's just a whole nother story. We used to tell people drink at least 8 glasses of water a day. Well, remember, your food has water. So it's okay to get sick unless you're like living in the desert or really hot places and you're inclined to sweat a lot. You need to replace that. But you can also do that with juices and things too, because you want to get, you know, I used to drink cranberry juice and take a tablet of psyllium seed because it flushed out my kidneys and my bloodstream. If you use cream in your coffee, try to use powdered milk instead. You'll find it be creamy as well, but less fat. Potatoes provide potassium, but they are considered dead food. So, you know, mashed potatoes and gravy, one of my favorites. Yeah, it can help clog your arteries. I am not on any blood pressure medication. Sometimes I think I should be, because the stress levels that I've gone through in the past 10 years have been exponential, but you know, worse things happen, and I will start exercising and getting out and about on my way. Remember, when you're supplementing your diet, to get it from a proven manufacturer. Don't just go online and try to get it from just any old source. Okay, so that about ends it, except for the last final questions. Tina, is there any questions to be had? Okay, so we get Jeannie to do this on the prayer class, huh? Okay, guys, what I want from you is this. I want you to share this video. I want you to have people like Resonant Essentials, because I want to know what the next class that y'all want. Now I have 3 that are in the offering. I can do the class on prayer, okay, and how prayer is used to integrate into our world, and why some prayers are answered and others are not, and why some people, their prayers seem to work like all the time. They're like magic prayers. And I want you to, or we can do candle gazing, in which case we'll have to schedule it so that I can be in a darkened room, in the back room here at the center, so we can get some candle gazing done. Or a class on judgment. Now this class, I'm kind of leaning toward this class because the class on judgment is straight out of my Mastering Metaphysics Foundations and Principles. And this class at this time in our life is probably one of the heaviest hit classes. You can really get a lot of punch out of it, because it really is not about judging where we're at or judging other people. It's about how to use judgment as a tool for your own spiritual growth. And right now, as we're sitting here, and I'm going to tell you this, and I hope the universe is kind to me and understands this. I don't care whether you believe that there's 150,643 sealed indictments waiting to be served. I don't care if you think that China has lied to us. I don't care if you think that this is not serious, and I don't care how much fear you think that this is way too serious. What I care about is your spiritual growth. This is the greatest opportunity you have had to sit down and embrace the beauty of the person that you truly are and the things that you want to accomplish in your world. So I want you to, down in the comments of this video on Resonant Essentials, I want to know what you're thinking, what classes you might want to take. I'm going to do these 3 classes as pop-up surprise classes. I may send them out through the email list and I may not. I'm going to record them so that they'll be around for future use. But hey, we're just going to go with it and see the best that we can do. So if there's no more questions, Tina? Tina, are you talking to Jason again? Tell Squeezy I said stop it. There's some what? Yes. Okay, well, that tells me where we're kind of heading. Let me know. Share this to people you think might be interested. It is a free class. I want as many people to start understanding this work as possible. Yes, sir? Tina? Oh, okay. With that, my heart to all of yours. I absolutely love and adore you. I wish you guys the best of luck and watch for the new pop-up class. See ya. Oh, and if you're interested in any of the other classes, I don't care if you want to take them or not. There's some other classes. Go to resonantessentials.com and look at the online classes, or you can access them through michellevidal.com. Or look under our Resonant Essentials Facebook. We've got some really cool classes. Brother Francis is going to be teaching on numerology, and Bill Heinrich is going to be teaching on living your divine purpose now. I'm going to have that link sometime today or tomorrow to send out to people to sign up. And we have the Albuquerque Tarot Circle. She's doing a live Zoom. So think about that, and I will see you next time. Bye now.